So earlier we told you about the Guatemalan teen who died while in U.S. custody. The Guatemalan Foreign Ministry has commented on the situation, saying that the teen was operated on after the discovery of a severe infection in the front of his brain. Officials are now investigating.
Joining us now for more, CBSNews.com reporter Graham Cates to break us down on this story. Graham, explain what happened to this child.
So right now we have a pretty good timeline of his life after he entered the United States. That started on April 19th. He was apprehended by Border Patrol. He was with them for about a day. They took him from around El Paso, where he was first apprehended, to Brownsville, to the very famous shelter at this point, Casa Padre. It's run by Southwest Key. When he got there, it was already the evening, so they didn't initially do the initial medical exam. They have 48 hours to do this. It's kind of like a full physical with vaccines and all of that. But they gave him a once-over, and they say that he seemed fine. He went to sleep for the night, and when he woke up the next day, they noticed fever and chills and nausea, and so they brought him to a hospital. The hospital actually discharged him that day, and he was brought back to Casa Padre, and then the next morning was still sick, so he went to another hospital, and ultimately a children's hospital, where he remained for 9 days before he passed away.
So he wasn't really in a U.S. custody for a very long time before they realized he was sick, like basically 24 hours, and then they realized we got to do something here. How is this different than some of the other cases?
Some of the other cases were, there was one instance where a child was in Border Patrol custody for several days and had not eaten much, had not drank much, and there were questions on that one about whether or not red flags were missed. This one so far, and again, we only have very limited information, but so far it sounds like when he got into custody, very soon after, they realized there was an issue.
So this is now the third death of a minor in the United States, in the custody of the United States. What's going on here?
If you ask the administration, they're going to say we're getting unprecedented numbers of children coming across the border, and it's been 3 deaths since December, and they'll say we've had tens of thousands of children, and this is kind of what comes with the territory with kids making the long trek. But of course, advocates are going to say, well, we've been complaining about the conditions in which the children are kept and sheltered for a very long time.
Is there any coincidence to the children being from Guatemala?
That's just right now, that's the country that is producing the most unaccompanied minors at this point. So the coincidence is that so many kids are coming from Guatemala.
That's interesting.
So we know that there have been now these 3 instances. How is the U.S. responding? I mean, we haven't heard a lot. I haven't heard the president saying anything about it. I haven't heard people from the Homeland Security. I mean, what has been the on-the-record response to these?
We briefly heard from Kirstjen Nielsen, but
before
now
she left.
She's gone,
right.
yeah.
So right now, the office that's handling it is the Office of Refugee Resettlement. That's one of the other differences. All the previous deaths that we've covered were in Border Patrol custody.
Got it.
And Office of Refugee Resettlement, which isn't technically DHS, has put out a basic statement outlining kind of some of the treatment that the child received, the fact that they contacted his family pretty early on. He has a brother who was already living in the United States who apparently was involved in like some of the medical decisions, or at least was at the hospital with the boy, but we don't have much more substantive information about what went on during those 11 days.
Are there, I don't know if you know, but are there a number of migrants sort of showing up with health issues, or is there a reason why we might be seeing sicker migrants? I know it's quite a journey.
We don't actually have good data on that.
Yeah.
I've spoken to a lawyer who's working on the Flores case, which oversees the unaccompanied children population, and they want health data from ORR, but at this point, that's not something that's available even to them, let alone us. But it is a long and perilous journey. Yeah. So I mean.
You would think that would be information that they would be getting automatically as part of their intake process. I know you said they have 48 hours, but that sort of information is really valuable, not just so they can sort of care for the population they're caring for, but it's valuable for the rest of the population too, right? Yeah. The population here.
Right, and in that time they get vaccines, but there is that 48-hour window where it could be right away, but it could be 2 days after they arrive that they get that vaccine.
Wow.
All right, Graham, thanks for your reporting. Appreciate it.